You find in the New Testament that there is a critique of traditions. When you're talking about human traditions, Jesus, for example, confronted the Pharisees and the Sadducees because they had human traditions that were getting in the way of their seeing what God was doing. Traditions can be a real negative thing when people hang on to them and they obstruct what God's doing. So there's this negative side of traditions, but there's also, and it's important to see this, a positive side to traditions. You find throughout the Bible, God encourages his people to remember, as we saw a little bit earlier. Remember. You find throughout the Bible, there's this importance of being a people who are anchored in history. God is always calling us people to bear witness, not just to what he's doing in the present, but to what he's done in the past. In fact, what he's doing in the present is connected to what he did in the past. And we proclaim what God's doing in the present by remembering what he did in the past. Throughout the Bible, you find this importance of receiving and passing on a tradition, of being aware that you belong to something that's much bigger and much older than yourself. We at Woodland Hills Church have not done that very much, frankly. We haven't done that very well. Beginning about 2 years ago, we began to sense that we need to start lining up with this aspect, this truth that's revealed in the Word. And so last year we did this series called Tapestry. You remember that? We talked about 4 different strands of the church tradition that have, to some degree, been part of our identity, that affected us and impacted us. And so we talked about the Reformation and the Pietistic tradition and the Charismatic tradition, and we spent 2 weeks on the Anabaptist tradition because that's the tradition that has, more than any other, impacted us, informed us. We've just kind of grown in that direction. And so what we want to do in this series is go deeper with that, explore more deeply this Anabaptist tradition. Every week we'll be looking at a distinctive thing among the Anabaptists, but you're going to see that that distinctive thing among the Anabaptists is also a distinctive thing at Woodland Hills Church. If you've been here for any length of time, when we talk about the Anabaptists, we're talking about ourselves. It's not because we tried to sound like the Anabaptists, it's just that we have grown in that direction and realized that in fact is the tribe and the tradition that we are most lined up with. I feel a real sense of importance on this, that what God wants to do here at Woodland Hills Church and through Woodland Hills Church is really connected to this. It's important that we are tapped into something bigger and older than ourselves.